Hi guys, today we're going to be using NPLRAP and practicing how to use it when we are taking an online test. So NPLRAP is very important because when you are taking a reading test, it can be very long. So NPLRAP is going to help you break it down into smaller chunks so that way you're able to understand the story better and answer the questions better. So when you're doing NPLRAP, you're going to need your journal. And then at the top, you're going to write the letters N, P, L, RAP. The first thing in NPLRAP is to notice the passage. So what you're going to do is before you begin reading the story, you're going to scroll down through your passage to see if there are any things that stand out. We are going to use the story that we have read before, The Garden of Golden Carrots, and we're going to start looking for things that stand out. Right away, I see the title is in bold words. So that is one thing. I'm going to write my letter N. That is one thing that stands out. The title stands out. Next, I'm going to keep looking for anything that might stand out, like the word figure. The word figure is underlined, so I know that's something that's going to be important in my story that I have to pay attention to. So I'm going to write down the word figure. I'm going to keep scrolling down. And then I noticed something else in the story, in the passage, I noticed the word plentiful. So I know that's something that I have to pay attention to as well because it is underlined. So I'm going to write the word plentiful. Okay, so I have noticed my passage and looked for anything that stands out or anything that might be important. I can put a check on it. Next, I'm going to pre-read my questions. And as I pre-read my questions, I'm also going to locate my clues. I always think of these two as going hand in hand because as you're pre-reading the questions, you're also trying to find the clues that are going to help you answer those questions. So I'm going to put two little lines to remind myself that these go hand in hand. So I like to think of the letter P and the letter L as they're holding hands because they do go hand in hand. So let's go on to our questions. And so that we have room to answer our questions, and so we have enough space to locate the clues, I'm going to number on my journal the number of questions. So we have 5 questions, so I'm going to number 1 through 5 in my journal because those are the questions I will be answering. So 1, and I'm going to skip 2 lines for each question because I want to leave plenty of room to take notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now I have plenty of room to write my clues and then to take any notes that I need to after. So starting with question number 1, this question is asking me the author most likely wrote this story to. So I know the clues for this question are author and wrote this story. Okay, so this definitely has to be an author's purpose question because it's asking specifically about the author and why they wrote that story. So I'm going to write the words author's purpose. And those are my clues. In question number 2, they are asking, what is the main message of the story? Okay, so for question number 2, they want to ask me about the message. So that is my clue in the question. So they want to know the message for the story. Question number 3 asks, what is the meaning of the word plentiful in paragraph 15? So remember, that is something that we noticed at the beginning of our story. Now we know that it is important because it's in one of the questions. So for question number 3, they want to know the meaning. Here are my clues. Meaning of the word plentiful. And that's located in paragraph number 15. Question number 4 is asking, from reading the paragraph 12, what can the reader conclude? Pay attention to this clue. This clue is very important. This clue means what can you figure out? What are you as a reader? What can you think about or figure out? So conclude is a very important clue. So I'm going to write the word conclude. So I, as the reader, have to figure something out. Conclude about the shopkeeper. Okay, so I, as the reader, have to figure something out or conclude about the shopkeeper. And I'm going to find that information in paragraph number 12. Finally, I get to question number 5, and it's asking, what is the meaning of the word figure as it is used in paragraph 3? So I have to figure out the meaning of the word figure. I'm going to write meaning. That's my clue of the word figure. And that's going to be located in paragraph number 3. Okay, so at this time, I am done pre-reading my questions and locating my clues. I'm going to go on to read the story, and then I'm going to answer and prove my answer. Okay, so this is a good place for teachers to pause and go into the Garden of Golden Carrots page and read the story out loud to your students. After you are done reading the story, teachers, you can come back and click continue on this video to go over answering the questions and proving your answers. But students, once you are done reading your story, you can check off the letter R because you have read your story. Now let's go on to answer my questions and prove my answers. Because not only do I want to choose the best answer, I want to prove why that's the best answer. So the letter P is very important because you really do have to prove why that was the best answer. So I have finished reading my story. I'm going to go back into question number 1. Question number 1 was asking me, the author most likely wrote the story too. Well, if I remember correctly, this story was a fiction story. So I can write that in my question number 1. I can keep going with my clues. This was a fiction story. I know that author's purpose, we have been learning about author's purpose and pied. Because it was a fiction story, I most likely think that this was to entertain the reader. So I'm going to try to see if there's anything that sounds that way in my answers. So letter A says, explain how to grow a garden of carrots. I don't think that's the correct answer because this is not explaining how to grow a garden of carrots. So I can eliminate letter A and I can write my answers down. I can write A, just a letter, B, C, and D. So I don't think A is the best answer. I'm going to eliminate that answer. Describe the importance of money. Well, this story was not talking about the importance of money, so I can also eliminate that answer. Teach a lesson about caring for others. Okay, I think this story talked about how a little girl and a shopkeeper learned the lesson about caring for others, so this could definitely be my answer, but I'm going to go on to read answer number D or letter D. Tell a story about finding a golden treasure. That never happened in the story, so I'm going to go ahead and eliminate letter D. So I think my best answer for question number 1 is letter C. So I'm going to write letter C because I know this was a story to entertain. And I know it talked about how you should care for others. Now my journal is going to start getting a little messy because I'm writing my notes, but that's totally fine because you did prove your answers. You did answer and then you proved the best answer for your question. So in question number 2, it's asking me, what is the main message of the story? Well, what did the author want me to learn about? What did I learn? I learned that you should take care of others. So I'm going to write my answers. I have answer F, answer G, answer H, and answer J. I'm going to cross out any of the answers that I don't think are correct, and then I'm going to choose the best answer. To be happy with what you have. Well, if you take care of others, that means that you're giving back, so you are probably happy with what you have. I'm going to put a question mark next to it because I still have other answers to read. Growing your own food is helpful. I don't think that was the message of the story. I think it is important to grow your own food, but that's not what this story was about. Tricking people is difficult to do. Again, I don't think the story was about tricking people, so I'm going to eliminate that answer. Gold is less important than food. That could be a good answer because in the story we learned that money is not as important as food. But I think if you're happy with what you have, like the shopkeeper just wanted more and more money, but Mary was happy with what she had, I think out of F and J, the best answer is letter F. So I'm going to prove my answer because I know that Mary was happy. And then I'm running out of room here. So maybe next time I can leave 3 spaces in between instead of 2 spaces in between. Mary was happy with what she had. Okay, let's go on to question number 3. In question number 3, they are asking me the meaning of the word plentiful. So I know that in paragraph 15, I'm going to find that word so I can scroll back up. The next summer, after a long season of rain, the crops were plentiful again. So they were plentiful again. So the crops, plentiful, I think might mean something like they grew again. So in paragraph 15, I think it means something like they grew or they kept growing. In honor of Mary, the people of the town held a big feast. So if you have a big feast, that means that you have to have lots of something. So using the clues that I wrote down from the story and from my brain, I'm going to scroll down and see if there's anything like that that's talking about these 2 clues. So I have letter A, B, C, and D. So healthy. I don't know that plentiful meant healthy in this story, so I'm going to cross that answer out. Growing. Oh, well, I wrote the clue that they grew, right? So maybe this could be my answer. I'm going to put a question mark next to it. A large amount. Oh, I also put that they have to have a lot. So that could also be a good answer. Very beautiful. I didn't read any clues that told me the answer could be very beautiful, so I'm going to cross out letter D. So now I'm between letter B and letter C. What is the meaning of the word plentiful in paragraph 15? It could either be growing or a large amount. I'm going to go back to paragraph 15. The next summer, after a long season of rains, the crops were plentiful again. So plentiful could probably mean that there was lots of them because they had a big feast. So they did grow, but there's probably lots of them. So I think my best answer is going to be letter